and welcome to this edition of Health Options. I am Rabi, Abdallah. Thanks for joining us on the program. How hot is the area you live at the moment, and how is it taking its toll on you? Talking about the current weather condition. The weather report says it all, with some areas having temperature reading that are as high as 42 degrees Celsius. The atmosphere is quite hot, and this has resultant effects. On this edition of Health Options, therefore, we take a look at the effect of the current weather on the health of humans and precautionary measures. As you know, this is the period diseases such as measles and meningitis rear their ugly heads. What are the relevant authorities doing to guard against outbreak of such common diseases associated with this period, and what measures should individuals take to protect themselves at this period? All of these in focus. Our complementary segments, Nature Scanner and Health Tips, will give you the opportunity to know if you are endangering your hearing organ, and information that will help you to make informed choices as we bring you more health tips towards a healthier heart. Health Options, and the topic for discussion on this segment is the effect of the current weather on the health of human beings and precautionary measures. Basi Itaipang was on the streets to feel the pulse of Nigerians on the issue.
You can see how I'm sweating. So there's nothing I should say. Seeing me will tell how I'm feeling about the weather. I lie on the floor. I come back in the morning when it's time to go to work. I become very tired because no good sleep.
The weather is so hot. We cannot even stay in our office now. The government can look inward to make use of the agencies responsible for environmental build-up, so that these people can take control, plant trees.
Even the night where you sleep safe, we feel the heat. You bath. If you have a AC, you put it. If you have a fan, you put it in your room.
If every homes in Abuja or Nation 1 should equally try as much as possible to open their windows and doors. And those that do not have a net, they should try and do a net so that when they open the door, so that mosquito cannot, because if you do not have a net that will protect mosquitoes, another dangerous thing that will cause another malaria.
We are not too happy about the weather. It's not the making of anyone anyway. It's natural. This before the heat season, there should be preparation. Nigeria should be proactive when it comes to, conditions like this, because they know that at a certain time like this, the weather gets very hot. So there should be preparations either for vaccine, for those that are in very, very hot areas, especially children that are children between the age of 1 to 5 that are prone to some of these ailments. Let provisions be made so that we won't have issues of children dying, adults dying.
And to take us through the discussion is Risk Communication Specialist with the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, Dr. Lawal Bakari. Dr. Bakari, it's glad to have you join us on Health Options.
Thank you very much, Rabi.
All right, so let's get down to the issue in focus. We know that every weather has its peculiarity. Yeah, and let's start from there. Take us through those peculiarities and narrow it down to the current period.
Okay, so we know that throughout the year, we have observed certain diseases that are associated with different weather conditions. There are also those that we record almost throughout the year, depending on other factors that are precipitating them. So when you talk about the rainy season, depending on where you are in the country and the prevailing environmental practices. We may record things like flooding, we may record things like cholera or diarrhea diseases. These are associated with movement of water and the particles that they move usually, and the practices of communities.
The rains are over now.
And the rains are almost about to begin.
Okay.
Yes, we are already almost in April. However, in the dry season or during the hot season, we also
which is where we are at the moment.
Where we are right now.
Yes.
It's also important for communities to note that diseases like meningitis, are usually what we record more of during this period. So when you talk of meningitis, in fact, we have a meningitis belt in the country, which is the region of the country that is within the region of the world where meningitis is recorded from time to time. And Nigeria is part of the countries in meningitis belt, most of the northern states in Nigeria. However, meningitis can be reported or recorded almost anywhere in the country. Aside that, other conditions that I just read associated with heat, just mere heat, dehydration is one of it. Even there are also other heat-related stresses that people can just elicit because, of the condition that is out there.
Okay, since you're already aware of this, what is the Nigerian Center for Disease Control doing so that we don't have those incidences that we had in the past, where we recorded death tolls and all of that, from meningitis and measles,
specifically. So for meningitis, we know even for measles, these are vaccine-preventable diseases. So before we even talk about the heat conditions, is that communities need to know that these are vaccines preventable, and parents especially are supposed to help their children to be vaccinated. However, for the two of them at the NCDC, we already have emergency operation centers or the technical working group as is appropriate. Set up for these diseases. So the way it works is for diseases that we know are predictable, the NCDC already has a technical working group that sits down year-round to actually to think about how we prevent. And so when we get to the period where we have spikes, the Emergency Operations Center is instituted so that we have a much more incident management system type of a response instituted for it. Now these are the set up for both meningitis and measles. So before now, we've been preparing, identifying communities that are usually most affected and preparing commodities to support them. So for meningitis specifically, there's already a team in Katsina State, for instance, that are helping the state to look at the current situation of the cases they're reporting and ability to support them with collection of samples and testing those samples. So usually what challenge we record with meningitis is that ability to identify cases when they come up in communities, and then community members to know where to take them to for testing and early treatment. So
are you invariably saying that you stepped up your surveillance activities this time around in such a way that we shouldn't be recording casualties? Okay, so definitely. So in terms of surveillance activities, like I was saying, it starts from community, where community members need to heighten their understanding of the symptoms that they need to see and report. For meningitis, it's fever and stiffness of the neck, especially in children, and this thing can be reported to health facilities. Now, what we noticed in the past is the collection of the sample is a bit more technical process. It's what we call lumbar puncture. So what we've done is we've gone around, specifically the states that we record most of these cases in the northwest especially, and we've trained clinicians, especially in the collection of the samples. We simulated it with some mannequins through which we were able to train a good number of physicians, and we've also created like a good cluster against the communities that are affected, so that when they need personnel, they can easily alert and the personnel can be available. Okay, at the individual and family levels now, what should the populace be doing to safeguard themselves? The heat is really much. So for the heat itself, first thing is that people need a lot of hydration because you can easily get dehydrated and the heat is much. So aside that is to also reduce the heat condition in wherever environment. People need lots of hydration. Are you referring to water or any soft drink? You need to be categorical here. Thank you very much for that. Water is preferred at this moment. But in addition to that, some people do a lot of exercise, so they lose not just water but also a lot of minerals. So for those kind of people, we encourage we call them like the Lucozade of this world. I don't want to use specific brand names, but products that contain some minerals that can help to replenish not just the water, but some of the minerals that they lost. But aside that, it's ensuring that the environment that they are staying in is equally
equally cool. So to ensure a cool room and room temperature, things like air conditioning, where people have it, can be encouraged. In places where you don't have air conditioner, opening of windows so as to ensure that the room is ventilated is also important. For children and even adults, it's encouraged that you know, regular bath even during the day.
That's personal hygiene.
Yeah, aside the hygiene part of bath is the fact that the water can cool, you know, the person's body. It's not that you use warm water to shower yourself during the day. If you can afford to even do cold water, it can even help to.
Okay,
you know,
so what about fruit consumption?
Oh well, fruit
Consumption.
consumption. Yeah, fruit consumption is basically a broader issue, not just for heat. It's just to ensure that the person is nutrition-wise is consuming appropriate nutrients to
That's
ensure
for
that
one to boost his immunity.
Boost immunity.
Okay.
To also ensure that.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Bakari, for making it to Health Options.
Thank you very much.
All right. We turn our attention now to a very important organ of the body, the ear. You may not be aware of the fact that certain actions and practices you indulge in could lead to you losing your hearing ability over time. More information on this on our health tips.
For the adolescents in particular, we know that nowadays our children, a lot of them take up to the social media, yes, which is understandable, it's trending now. But you see a lot of adolescents moving around with earpiece. You know, their earpiece is permanently glued to their ear and connected to their, you know, handsets, their phones, and sound sources. And a lot of them may be with this from morning to night, even when they are reading or doing something that is very, very important to advance, you know, their development and their growth in life. They form it as habit. And we are saying that this earpiece, they completely occlude the canal of such users, which means that all the sounds coming from this device are channeled directly into the ears. They bang in the ear, and over time, they develop what we call noise-induced hearing loss, which is another very difficult type of hearing loss to manage because it's a sort of sensorial hearing loss. And rehabilitation of such individuals poses a lot of threat and a lot of danger. Talking of our adolescents and the earpiece that they use to listen to music and sounds from lengthy hours. This is the one that a lot of them find, I would say, fashionable to use. Quite all right, it's very portable. That's the earpiece. You can see the microphone that delivers the sound is very, very small. It's fashioned in such a way that it completely occludes the ear canal. It fits in and gives almost a complete seal, so that every sound that is coming in through the source that this is connected to is directed into the ear. Keep on banging there without losing anything. And over time, that can lead to the noise-induced hearing loss. Whereas the earphone, which is the one I have here with me, it performs similar functions. But the advantage here is that it doesn't occlude the canal completely. As you can see, it's a light cup that is filling in the ear, so that all the deliveries from this source is not actually channeled into the ear. Minimal volume of sound is channeled into the ear, while the rest are dissipated. And that is why this is safer to use as compared to the former that we demonstrated. Some of us work in very noisy environment. The machines that we use in performing our day-to-day duties, very noisy. But definitely somebody got to do this job. Somebody should be there. But precautionary and preventive measures should be taken. There are some workplace policies that are known. In fact, it is law across the globe that if you're walking in such places, there must be some guidelines. One is that you use what we call ear muffle, which closes the ear, similar to what the earpiece does, but no sound is delivered. So that reduces the sound that is coming to your ear. You should fix such earplug when you're walking in such an environment. And if it's also known that nobody walking in such very noisy environment is allowed to walk at a stretch beyond 8 hours in a day. That is a critical point. Beyond 8 hours, you start having irreversible damage. But if you walk for 8 hours and you observe all these rules and regulations, the other 16 hours of rest gives the ear and its organelles and its critical elements enough time to recover. That's what we call temporary threshold shift. You must have a group of people working shifts, at least 3 sets. If it is a place that functions 24 hours, the first set will perform their duty. After 8 hours, they will leave the environment so that this will happen. All right? And such people must have their ear constantly screened. And it's recommended for everybody, at least every 6 months, you get your ear screened. That is tested, the level of hearing. At worst, once every year, this must be done. And for such people who are working in such a noisy environment, you must have their baseline, i.e. before they are employed, you should be able to do their proper hearing test and document what the level is. So that when this is done every 6 months or every year, you'll be able to compare to see, is this person moving towards a critical point? Is the ear getting very bad? Such people may need to change places of work, or certain measures may be taken by the ear, nose, and throat, head, and neck surgeon who is managing them to be able to protect such ears. We know that some individuals, they think that cleaning their ear regularly is a way of upholding good hygiene. But we're saying today that the ear needs no cleaning, even with cotton buds. The ear cleans itself. It's meant to be so. The oil we struggle to remove with the cotton bud is meant to protect the ear. That oil filters the air that enters the ear, traps the debris, and also it has some antibiotics properties. So it has ability to combat infections which enters our ear. And once the oil becomes, old and non-functional, the ear has the ability to push it out and a new one is formed. The same thing with swimmers. If you see modern day swimmers today, professional swimmers, they always wear a cap that covers their ear. So once water keeps on entering your ears, it predisposes to infection, it predisposes to other problems that can lead to hearing loss. So it is also advisable that people who like swimming, which is a very good sport, should also form this habit of plugging their ear when they are swimming in order to get protected. Now, what are the red flags? What individuals should be able to look out? Because apart from going to the hospital, we have talked about trying to screen our ear, test our ear twice every year. There are things that we should be able to look out on ourselves. Once you start forming the habit of raising the volume of your television and your radios very high, that people around you start complaining that this is too high, and to you it is sounding normal, that is a red flag. You must present immediately to your ENT surgeon. Once you notice that you start missing some words during course of conversation, words that will connect to make sentences reasonable, you'll find out that they will start missing when you are listening, is another red flag. Once again, you notice that you have to be asking people to repeat themselves for you to be able to follow in conversation, i.e. using the word repeat most of the time, pardon, and stuff like that, or come again. And it becomes almost like a habit. That is a way of telling you that you must do something urgently. Or you start having ringing in your ear, you're having this permanent ringing in either one ear or 2 ears. That's almost always there, as if they are ringing bell or doing some funny things in the ear. That is a red flag. That also suggests that we must move very fast to procure treatment.
What kind of food do you feed your heart with? Anis just kind of has some recommendations you might want to check out.
The leaves from baobab tree is called kuka in Hausa. These are very effective and efficient. It has vitamin K, and vitamin K is a blood thinner. So if individual is taking this kind of a greeny leafy vegetable combination with fish, combination with some olive oil, and then beans. If you take this kind of ingredients and food substances for at least about 1 month, kuka, it has vitamin K. And the function of vitamin K is a blood thinner. That will not make the heart to work hard. And then at the same time, fish, it has omega-3. And then beans, it has vitamin E. So these ingredients, I think, will help the activities of the heart. When combined all together, eat them at the same time. Not necessary is in a plate. When you brought the plate like this in here, you have a soup on one side, and then you have banana on the other side, and then eat it, and then drink a lot of water. A lot of water, at least 1,000 cc or 500 cc of water every day. Every day, either you do it for breakfast, or you do it for the lunch, or you do it for the dinner. Will enhance the life expectancy of the heart. So at the age of 30 and above, at the age of 12 and below, and then gestational period during the pregnancy, all this will help the activities of the heart, will improve the activities of the heart. And if you are taking these food items, you are not expected to take a blood thinner medicine, especially the aspirin, because aspirin is a blood thinner. And kuka will also consider it as a blood thinner. So the combination of 2 items will make the blood more thin. A small scratch like this will make you bleed to death. 1 banana will also help the activities of the heart, because 1 banana, it has about 400 milligrams of potassium. And the heart needs potassium to function normally. Now, even if you have high blood pressure, now if you are eating this kind of item, it regulates the heartbeat. It regulates the blood pressure.
And this is where we wrap up this edition of Health Options. You can watch the upload of these and other episodes of the program. Email us for your comments and contributions at healthoptions@nta.gov.ng. My name is Rabi Abdallah. Many thanks for watching.